Welcome again to the Brotherhood Experience. I am your host, R.O. McCray, and tonight it is another special interview. Tonight we have someone that's near and dear to my heart, as well as the chapter's heart. He is a man of distinction. He is a man of honor. He is a man from my home of Alpha Beta Delta chapter of Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated. He is the director of Collegiate Affairs. He is also the collegiate advisor for Alpha Beta Delta. But most importantly, he holds a key important position in our chapter, and that is the chief of staff. He's a known problem solver. He's a known Mr. Can do everything, pretty much. Let me introduce to you Brother Ian Boyd.
Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure. Trust me. You just don't know how hard it is to book this man. Hurricanes, folks doing stupid stuff. He has to fix it. So literally just being able to tie him down long enough to ask a question in a relaxed environment that doesn't involve business, stupid questions, and people outside trying to just bombard Sigma when we got to take care of business is a miracle, point blank. And with that being said, I want to ask you, with all that we do, with all that you do, what is so special, or really, what do you love most about Phi Beta Sigma?
So I'll answer the first part of your question is what do I find so special about Sigma? So I guess for me it is the brotherhood aspect of it. I came into this organization spring 2012, and growing up I didn't have a lot of male mentors in my life. I just recently, when I actually finished the process, I actually found that I had brothers on my father's side. But prior to that, I've always grew up in a house full of women. So being in the organization provided me with something that I didn't even receive when I was, or still am, in the military. Because I've been in the military since 2005. I've deployed once to Iraq, 2009, 2010. And the brotherhood that I get from the fraternity outside of my military family is awe-inspiring to me. What I enjoy most about giving back to the organization is the ability to foster growth and development in those that are coming after me. Like I mentioned, one of the roles as far as and what you mentioned is my role as an advisor for the Collegiate chapter of Alpha Beta Delta. And so having the opportunity to help these young men, and also letting them know that my job as an advisor doesn't stop once you graduate. Like, I'm here, this is a lifetime position for me. Even when I decide to hang up my reins as the advisor, I will still be in their lives. And that trickles down to my role as Director of Collegiate Affairs. Even though I did not come through that chapter, they can always come to me for advice. They can always come to me, it's like, hey, Ian, we got this situation. We wanted to get your input, get your insight on it. And I'm there for them. And I think that's what I enjoy most about the organization is being able to reciprocate what was given to me at the early stages of my Sigma journey.
I can truly appreciate that because we share the same mentor.
Yeah.
Brother Edward Jordan came into our lives and made Sigma special and better. And because of that, I always get grand ideas and things like that of how I can help the chapter or what I can do. Mm-hmm. What are some of the personal goals or ideas that you have for Sigma Memphis?
So I guess for me, essentially, in my role as chief of staff, one of the charges that was given to me by our chapter president Brandon Pollard, was to make sure that the philanthropic thrust of the organization is at the forefront of the chapter. So, assisting our director of Bigger Better Business, our director of social action, our director of education, even our director of Sigma Beta Club, and trying to see how we can leverage opportunities within our community. Because we have a lot of assets and a lot of resources out in our communities that we previously have not really dug deep into. That's not saying that we haven't done it before, but we have to go about things a different way to adjust to our current climate and current situation in the city of Memphis and the greater Shelby County area. With us being the only Sigma chapter in the city of Memphis, we have to facilitate growth and development with a lot of organizations and a lot of our sororities and fellow D9 fraternity members. So helping assist with those goals, making sure that there are avenues that our directors can utilize to foster some type of, be an agent of change in our communities. I think that helps me out a lot with my role as chief of staff. But also essentially just making sure everything is orderly. Because like you mentioned earlier, people have a lot of grand plans, but they don't think about the logistical aspects of how to get from point A to point B. And that's where I come into play. I've been in the military and in the same MOS, which is logistics, for 19 years. So I look at things from that lens of, hey, this is the idea and the concept that you have, but in order to get here, we have to think about this item, this action item, and this as well. So that's where I come into play, as assisting with those dreams and aspirations that others have. And I pride myself in knowing that I had a hand in it. I don't have to be at the forefront. I've always enjoyed working in the background to assist others with their dreams and aspirations and how I can help develop Sigma Memphis as a whole. But as far as my plans, as far as Sigma Memphis is concerned, is just making sure that individuals know that we are about our motto, which is culture for service and service for humanity, and showing everyone in the city of Memphis, everyone in the greater Shelby County area, that we are here and we will stay and we will remain.
And you could not have put a bigger nail right on the money than anything else with that statement right there. Because when you break it down, everyone else has multiple chapters in the city. Right. We are the only fraternity in Memphis that has one chapter. And that one chapter has brothers in every area.
Yes. And
we're trying to make sure that we use and analyze every brother the best we can. Yes. From taking what you said, I want to take you to some pictures right here. I want you to go in because they highlight exactly what you were talking about. What is this picture right here?
Okay, so this is actually my first event as the chief of staff for the chapter. So this was the Brotherhood breakfast in January of this year. So essentially, I was basically picking back off the previous administration, what they had already set in motion. But coming straight into the gate, directing individuals. I know the biggest thing that I had planned was to do a e-board picture. So we have some updated photos of our newly elected and appointed e-board, and just ensuring that everybody was in their proper place. So like I said, that lends credence to my previous statement of me being Mr. Organized in a sense. It's not borderline OCD, but at the same time, I feel like if everything is orderly, everything will fall into place as it should.
totally understand. And what about this picture right here?
So this actually was the Men's Health Expo that was chaired by Brother Calvin Walker, who serves as our Director of Social Action. He has been doing a magnificent job as far as leading the social action charge for this chapter. So essentially, the picture I'm looking at really breathes life into the last 3 lines that we've had in this organization as far as brotherhood. Coming into this organization, you don't know what to expect. And I think our first vice, at that time with the previous lines, that would have been Brother Brandon Pollard, and our current first vice, which is Darrell Wright, I think they have done a tremendous job with their membership team to incorporate and instill in these new brothers the concept of serving their communities. So with having all of the recent 12 brothers that we initiated into the chapter, into this organization, to be at a service project and stay the entire time was definitely inspiring for me to see that, okay, we have brothers who essentially at one point or another want to replace us. Because essentially as leaders, that's what we want. We want to groom our replacements. We want to make sure they have enough knowledge and enough empowerment to say, hey, I want to go close to the edge. Can you help me jump off safely? And I think looking at the progress that we had and we are continue to have with our incoming brothers, I think that was a good event.
I agree with you. That was a perfect event. And I noticed that everything you said was totally true. With our leadership and with the guidance of the brothers we have as president and first vice president, it has been nonstop service driven. Nonstop. Once you get in, once these letters get on your chest,
yes,
it's time to work. And with that in mind, I wanted to ask you more about your professional role.
Okay.
Give me your full title as a professional role, because I'm going to mess it up.
Okay, so my official title is I am the supply sergeant for the Alpha Company 169 DSSB, which is located here in Memphis, Tennessee. So I'm classified as an AGR soldier, which is Active Guard Reserve. So the epitome of my job is literally, you could sum it up as other duties as assigned, but essentially my primary role is to ensure proper accountability of all of our equipment. That's from vehicles, that's from weapons, that's from personnel as well. As far as their clothing, so I assist with that. I handle any type of transactions when it comes from equipment from our unit to the next. I serve at the pleasure of my company commander, and also my readiness NCO, who serves as my first line supervisor, just to ensure they're all on the same page as when it comes to equipment readiness. Because again, you mentioned earlier about the hurricane. My job plays a pivotal role in ensuring that the state of Tennessee knows our equipment readiness when it comes to loaning out equipment for such national disaster events such as Hurricane Elaine. And, moving to maybe, possibly, Hurricane Milton. We just learned that it became a Category 5. So we haven't heard anything about that yet, but just having the assets on hand to be prepared in case we get called up. Because I think that was one of the biggest things that drew me to even joining the military, is ensuring that I serve my community well.
And just off of just watching you work, a few times you were able to get us some space
yes.
at the barracks whenever we had something, and it was like a community game night.
Yes.
between us and another organization.
Yes.
Walking in, I've been on military bases before, but I've never seen a military base so organized and straight up. It looked like what it's supposed to be. It's not a hot mess. It's not thrown together. Oh, there's a stack here. No, it looked like what it's supposed to be.
Thank you.
And that's what you expect. And that just showcases the type of leadership that you expect from a man of Sigma.
Yes.
And with that, leadership is something that we, from our international president, Chris Ray, all the way to our chapter president of Brother Brandon Pollard, leadership is what everyone stresses.
Yes.
That is what everyone wants to teach and make sure we know. What we know, we're sharing.
Yes.
Mistakes and what we get right is not just success. I wanted to ask you, what is your leadership role and how do you continue to lead successfully, but also leave your little niche of it? Oh, that's an Ian touch right there. We know it's good because Ian got it.
So, I'll do twofold. So I touch on the chief of staff piece, and then also me being an advisor. So as far as the chief of staff role, I think essentially just ensuring that, and again, it's kind of beating a dead horse, but just making sure everything is orderly. There's some processes that have been implemented in the past. So I give an example as far as how we necessarily do awards. So essentially, we haven't had a process in place on how we nominate our well-deserved brothers within our chapter for regional awards. So sitting back and looking at the aspect, I got a committee together, and we asked them to nominate brothers who essentially fit their criteria. And we went back after the deadlines passed. We talked about it, and we put those names up for contention for the awards at this previous regional conference. So that is somewhat the end touch. Now, it's not something that's specific to me. I think most chapters are or should be doing this, but it's just something that we needed to incorporate instead of just trying to have one brother being nominated, and if that brother is not able to meet that deadline, then we have to run around to try to replace their brother. I think we need to make sure that we're honoring all of our well-deserved brothers in whatever field of study they find themselves in. As far as the collegiate advisor role, I've been in the role for many years. And the biggest thing I tell my collegiates is, I don't want you to put on airs that you're perfect. Mm-hmm. I want you to make mistakes. Because at the end of the day, no one is perfect. I am not a micromanager by any means. So how I operate, I'm the type of person, I'm going to give you enough rope to hang yourself. I will give you a deadline, and I hope you adhere to said deadline. However, if you do not, then there will be repercussions behind it. But I think the style of leadership that I have when it comes to my collegiates has paid off royally. This previous regional conference, I mean, we brought back so many awards that I've had other brothers from other states like coming up to me and asking me questions like, how are you able to get your collegiates all on one page, one sheet of music? And we're a small chapter.
Yes.
And we've historically been a small chapter.
Exactly.
But at the same juncture, just understand, especially with the generational gap between myself and my current collegiates on campus, how do I go about bridging that gap? But the biggest thing is just listening. That's the biggest thing that most advisors have to realize, that we just have to listen to our collegiates. Because again, the collegiates are the lifeblood of the fraternity.
Amen.
And knowing that eventually we want these same collegiates, just like we talk about our newer brothers that came through the alumni chapter. We want these collegiates to come through the alumni chapter and replace us eventually. I actually had our current ABD president, Terrion Brown, mention to me that he feels like maybe 10 years down the road, he's going to be in my role as the advisor. And that made me proud. That was one of the proudest moments I had, to have one of my collegians say that, hey, Ian, one day I want to be in this role. And seeing all the work and progress that I've had into developing him as a student leader on the campus, and then for him to say, hey, I want to come behind you and basically do the same thing that you're doing. It was a great moment for me. So I think that was a true testament of my leadership and my ability to ensure that my collegians know that I am here for them 110%, whether it's ABD, whether it's KO, whether it's GAM, whether it's Delta Nu, whether it's Beta Zeta. I am here for our collegiate brothers to ensure that they know they have a home within Iota Sigma, whether it's now or in the future.
And that is what we want. That's what I want all the advisors to project. And that's what, I'll be honest with you, Reginald's not the advisor type, because if I get the wrong person to come to me about my boys and I know they're doing right, I won't be that good advisor that's going to be advising. I'll be with my boys talking about, you finna get out my face. Which is why I respect you so much.
Thank you.
You had the personal tutelage of a dear brother to this chapter.
Yes.
That, to be honest with you, when I was in the process of becoming a brother, wanted to lead, he was the voices that says, you can do it. Mm-hmm. When I got into the chapter, I wanted to hurry up and leave Alphabet Delta and go straight to grad chapter because of him. And I'm speaking of our dearly departed brother Edward Jordan. I can't speak his name without getting teary-eyed, because to me, I have multiple fathers. I have my father, and then I have my Sigma father, which is Edward Jordan. And because of his leadership, I can see it in you. And I see it's actually doing what he wanted. It's going to our collegiates. It's that type of leadership and connection that kind of stands out. And that's kind of goes to our next picture that we have, of you serving the country, but you still taking time out for Sigma on your break. Tell me about this photo right here.
This is actually, I left the unit to go participate in Read Across America. This was an event that, is nationwide, but this was coordinated by our Director of Education, Brother Jason Brown. And one thing I always stress to all of my program directors, since I have oversight just to assist y'all, I always make sure I'm there. Because we have to make sure we're supporting our own. It's big, it's best that we support our communities, but we also need to support the brothers that are actually taking the time and implementing these events. So I've always stressed to all three, and also our Sigma Beta Club director, Brother Fred Parsons, that if you ever need me, I'm here for you. So that was a solid event that I read to a group of first graders, and it was just a good event overall. Students ask me questions, of course, when you have little kids see somebody in uniform, they always ask you, "Are you in the Army?" And I'm like, "Yes." So I don't want to be my typical self when I'm talking to adults. Like, what do you think? I'm in a uniform, but you have to realize young kids don't really grasp that concept. So you have to make sure that you are being considerate. And I think that helps with the overall trajectory of my journey in Sigma is just learning tolerance and patience. Because as you mentioned earlier, I have to deal with a lot of crazy scenarios. That's how I'm gonna place it. As far as what goes on in this chapter, and then also with ABD, because ABD is not without its issues. But we have an air of transparency, and I think we have that as well when it comes to Tyler City. We understand our faults. We understand where we're lacking, but we make strides to ensure that we're going to handle those appropriately and move forward. So I think that is one of the best ways as far as leadership is concerned.
I just want to go into this next thing, which is something I know. We've said it throughout the entire interview. Your collegiate role. It's like being a collegiate advisor. It's something none other.
Yeah.
The old school way of talking about a collegiate advisors is, if you want to be a collegiate advisor, be ready to pass out condoms, give them the weekend debriefing, and tell them you ain't got no money for bail money. With that being in mind, please tell me the significance of you and this young man in the picture.
He wanted to go to law school, and it resonated with me to see a young man who is involved in so many organizations on campus. And then later on, I learned that he is a legacy. Because, and I would say that it didn't influence me talking to him, because at that time I didn't know. But what I appreciate about ABD is that we're more about quality than quantity, because we have always been a relatively small chapter, and we hold ourselves to that distinction that even though there is not that many of us, we can do the work of 30 brothers. And with that, throughout the years, it's been a testament of ours to continuously win awards that would normally be won by chapters of 15 and more.
Yes.
And so I think that even when I was an undergrad, winning, and I remember this very well, when they announced the ABD won model chapter year, we was at the awards luncheon, and I actually did my fist like this, and the whole table shook. It's because I was surprised, but at the same time I was grateful because my work to get the chapter to that level was recognized, and I build on from that point, and I made sure those lessons were given to our collegiate brothers within the chapter. And then I impart wisdom as well to our other undergrads as well. But I'm proud of Arnez and where he's at right now. He's currently in law school, and he's on the trajectory to do very good things for not only Sigma, but also this country as well. So I think just that monument alone is a testament to who he is, because he spearheaded that committee and that charge along with one of our sorors from the New Phi chapter, which is the chapter at Rose College. So they were paramount in that actual monument being created. And there was some long nights for them, but just the determination of both of them to go forward and say, hey, we want representation on this campus. At a PWI, it's uncalled for something of this magnitude to happen. But when you had committed students, and then also the backing of some of the finest higher ed professionals I've came across working as an advisor, dealing with Rose College, it just all fell into place. And I think that at the end of the day, they have left a legacy blue and white period that many generations to come will have to try to make sure they hold to that standard. And I'm just pleased to have played a significant role in that development.
And being that I am from Alphabet Delta chapter, proud product, it opens my heart, it swells my heart with pride to see the growth. Um, I served that chapter from the time I got in to the time I graduated. And the fact that you see the growth that you wanted but you couldn't get to, or you struggled to, or no one saw what you saw.
Right.
To see a brother that saw it, worked hard to get it, got it, but when he got it, he shared it with everyone after him. That is the test of a true Phi Beta Sigma man.
Absolutely.
That is what makes me proud to be a Sigma man. And the fact that you're doing your job to the point where my job is to teach those underneath me that come after me so that it keeps on. That's what legacies truly are about. When you look at our organization, period, it is a ongoing, ever evolving legacy that stands the test of time. I'll say this proudly against any other organization, that nobody's legacy touches this legacy, especially when we have chapters like ABD with advisors like you. Because as you said it, there's no cookie cutter.
Right.
Every advisor is a perfect fit somewhere.
Right.
And
Absolutely.
how they teach and mold is what is important.
Absolutely.
And I am thankful for you.
Thank you.
On behalf of all of the graduates of the Alphabet Delta chapter, we thank you.
Thank you.
Tonight has been another wonderful experience. I just want to share, is there anything else you want to share with the brothers of Sigma? Because it ain't just Sigma Memphis listening. We're getting this out to every Sigma brother. Is there something you want to share?
I think since I'm mainly dealing with collegiates at this point, I guess I'll speak to all collegiates. There is life after college in the collegiate role. You will have a home at the local grad chapter that you choose to be a part of. Don't just go and pay dues. Be involved, because regardless of where you find yourself, what region you find yourself, everybody's looking for a replacement. We need young ideas, young, fresh ideas, innovative ideas to propel this organization forward. And it starts with you. You are the lifeblood of this organization. And it is my hope and my desire that if I ever cross paths with you, I can impart some words of wisdom to you to help you on that trajectory to possibly be the next chapter president of your local area, or the next state director, regional director, or a member of our international board. Because the only thing stopping you is you. To my fellow alumni brothers that serve as advisors, the biggest thing for us, it's a thankless job. It is a truly thankless job. And for those advisors that I've crossed paths with, whether it be the Southwestern region or the other regions as well, I just want to say thank you. Because even though distinguished brother Edward Jordan was a significant influence in my life, talking to some of y'all and learning some of the pitfalls and struggles that you have, we was able to compare kind of horror stories in a way to see how we can manage our day-to-day involvement with our collegiate brothers. It's because of these conversations that I'm able to sit where I am and have the ability to lead my collegiates not just in Sigma, but just also in life. So I thank you for that. To my e-board for Iota Sigma and to the members of the chapter, thank you for instilling trust in me as your chief of staff and your director of collegiate affairs. Without your constructive criticism, without your praise, without your thanks, and without your guidance, I would not be in the position I am in today. We have a lot of work ahead of us. We don't want to rest on the laurels of yesteryear. We're looking for bigger and better. And it's my hope as the chief of staff for Iota Sigma that I can assist in that endeavor to ensure that Brother Brandon Pollard, who currently serves as our chapter president, that his vision for our chapter can extend and expand beyond the boundaries of the greater Memphis and greater Shelby County area. So I look forward to working with any and everybody that wishes to work with me. It includes additional support from our sorors in the Memphis area and the Shelby County area, and then also other D9 organizations as well, because we all have different ways to achieve the same objective. And we just have to make sure we come together for one common goal, which is to better our communities as a whole. So, to you, Reginald, thank you for having me. I think this is a program that is well needed to show that there is more to members of this organization than just the titles that we have. That, you show the human side of us. Yes, we have done a lot of work within the organization, but what transpired before we became members that actually drove us to this organization, I think is beneficial. And hopefully someone that does see this, maybe they will have an influence to help better the organization in ways that we can't see. So I want to say thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. And I wish you the best of luck in the rest of the series.
Well, thank you so much. I'm welcome and honored. This has been the Brotherhood experience, but I want to share with something special to you. This Brotherhood experience is an ongoing 24/7 thing. And this series this programming is so that we can get the word out of our brothers, but also receive a word from our brothers. We're doing something new. We're doing something bold. We're doing something daring. Something that I learned from being from the audacious Alpha Beta Delta chapter of Phi Beta Sigma, that I take with me as a proud member of Phi Iota Sigma. We can't be the number one chapter of the fraternity if we don't show others how we're fixing mistakes and how we're fixing ourselves to evolve to our community, to answer that call that every Sigma has in them, that call of service, that call of culture for service and service for humanity. Thank you for another wonderful evening on the Brotherhood Experience. I'm your host, R.O. McCray, and this is my guest again, Ian Boyd, and thank you for the experience.